World Card Game Federation here with another local match. This one happened at our favorite place, Chaos Games and More. We're going to have a rare Seth sighting going on here, playing his Trunks, Red Ascension Trunks, which y'all remember we all lived in mortal terror of day and night for the longest time. So Andrew gets to go first. He's having the Haymaker Nappa, the one that, of course, is death in his two meat hooks. And then he's going to go ahead and pass Rejuvenate on his first turn. It goes back over to Seth, or excuse me, over to Seth for his first turn. As you guys know, this is Ferrari Trunks. This is the one that's supposed to explode off of this level and basically climb. If you're not actively trying to deal with his anger game, then you will not win. As you guys remember, Red Ascension Trunks had some of the shortest games that I ever saw. So Seth passes, rejuvenates, and I don't blame him. I also wouldn't want to put pressure on the stage, on a clinch Nappa either. So let's see, I can't see Andrew's hand, I'm not sure what he's up to. But just so you guys know, Saiyan Nappa doesn't have a lot of reason not to be in combat. That basically he has all the endurance he could ever really want with Saiyan backing him up, and has, like we said, the ability to, weather most storms. And I'm flat shocked. He passes, rejuvenates. He intentionally leaves Cell Larval in the discard pile for targeting with, I forgot the name of the Saiyan physical, that lets him be able to pull allies back. Not a bad strategy. Though I probably would have held on to Saiyan Dive if it was me. But he doesn't have clinch on, so I guess it's rather mundane if it isn't. Okay, Seth powers up, he draws his 3, he's getting ready to start his turn, he's going to weigh his hand. Like I said, you basically have to do a lot of hitting and running. You have to basically just rope-a-dope a ton of hits from Nappa, and then anger up after you've taken the significant damage. Or at least that would be my strategy if I was Seth. See, when I do this whole kind of shenanigans, say, with Knowledge Mystic Gohan, I have the Rejuve to back up a lot of the beating I would take. So that would be one of the reasons I would do that. Okay, Seth does not like what he sees, and I don't blame him. He had one not dead card, but he did have an energy block in his hand. That's fairly useless in this matchup. Okay, it's going to go back over to Andrew. Andrew has, from what he's tipping his hand here, I'd say a pretty good hand. There you go, laying out Haymakers. So if I was Andrew, I'd start feeling him out. I'd throw my physical, or if I got a clinch, I'd attach it. Stare down. Okay. Oh, look at that. Some really good stuff. At least because I don't remember if Mule Kick can target your opponent's attached cards. I don't think it can, but he went for it and discarded it with stare down, so that kind of stinks. And it goes over to Seth. Now, if I was Seth, this is a hard one because Seth can try to, there we go, like start doing stuff, or he could just simply take the beating that's coming from Nappa and then try to anger. It's a tricky one. He does throw a red sword stab, raises his anger 1 level. Oh, 2 levels, I'm sorry, I forgot about the doubler on his level 1. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and land. Nappa, like I said, doesn't use the AT anyway. His stages are just basically stages to soak up damage and nothing else. Okay. He's going to throw that same physical that allows him to be able to target allies and be able to pull them out either from the discard pile or his life deck. Looks like he's going for the life deck after all. I assume he's either going for Turles or Vegeta. I would assume Vegeta early on.
For your brother? Yeah.
And my benefits that kick in work first.
So, like I said, it's a tricky one for Seth. Having a bunch of power stages doesn't. Yeah, it's Turles. I would look for Shane Reynolds to take a close look at that particular card. He might find it a little amusing. So for our purposes, like we said, he's looking to boost some of that early game damage. Though it is a little strange not to see a clinch on Nappa already. Usually I'm used to it being on there by action 2
and then that's
of combat 1.
Each Saiyan will make it do +1, so 1, 2, 3, 7
so he's got a 7-stage physical, like we said, which for Nappa, in this build, is a little strange. So I don't recall if Seth has any blocks at all. I don't believe so. Now, here's a hard one. Now, Seth could go ahead and try to use the Mastery to try to get a little bit of stage gain on the level. That's a toughie. It is styled. He is going to go ahead and banish the double strike, and it is going to go ahead and raise his anger 1 level, which raises anger 2 levels, and causes Nappa to skip. It's going to go back over to Seth. He's going to use Heroic Dashing Punch. He's going to go ahead and level. And Dashing Punch, of course, is going to do a lot of fun stuff, except that in Seth's case, it's going to cause him to all damage is banished, which is really potentially bad against Nappa.
The master just says you level up on 4 instead of 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to go ahead and throw Dashing Punch. It's going to force Andrew to skip. It's going to go back to Seth. Seth passes. And then okay, he's going to throw Saiyan Interruption. You guys remember that's a little bit of Ghost Nappa action from Team 4-Star. That's funny. And then he's going to go ahead and stop it. Looks like with the level 2 physical block on Trunks, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
No, he's going to take the hit, apparently. I think it's Nappa's physical.
I was thinking, alright, draw an extra card when entering combat.
What we got going on here?
Quick strike.
Still trying to remember.
Ouch.
Throw one to make it stay out. 8 stages.
Jay is going to go ahead and use, I forgot the name of this card, but it's the one that allows him, if he mills the top, he can go ahead and throw it twice, which is pretty wild.
Pass.
Quick strike again.
For 8.
Just remember, if you do lose 7 stages.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
That was something I didn't add into.
Dang, instead of taking those hits.
Don't worry about it. My mistake.
I don't know where my clench is, so I was just like, alright. I'm gonna attack without it.
Even your clinch searchers are?
That's pass.
That's pass.
Okay.
That's pass.
Yep.
Physicals.
Right? You'd think with all the things I have to get clenched, they'd be on like right
Let's
away.
start with Saiyan Spin Kick.
Okay, so poor Seth continues to take a beating. It is frustrating. Then that combat ends. He passively gains his anger, begins his next turn, which is all pretty good so far. I don't know if it's enough to take off, but he's going to go ahead and put Red Relaxation into play, which is fantastic. I apologize, don't recall the bottom card of his discard pile, but Andrew's going to go ahead and figure that out for both of us. Okay, what was it? It was Driving Knee, perhaps? I don't recall that exact one.
Now,
Yep.
that's just barely brushing D to my E. So 0 plus what?
Okay, he's going to go ahead and pass Rejuve, and it goes back over to Andrew. Andrew's going to have himself an interesting choice. He doesn't have a lot of power stages out there, but we've said this time and time again, he generally doesn't need them. Now, I have a little bit of foreknowledge from having been there the night this fight went down. It's really unexpected when you start to see where this ultimately goes in terms of damage. Okay, I want to say that is it's not a Namekian flight, not a Namekian, excuse me, Saiyan flight. There's just enough fluorescent glow.
Attach card.
What?
In here.
I thought you had 3 in the deal.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, and apparently I floated in out of nowhere just to heckle poor Seth. Oops.
Red Antidote is going to just keep becoming like the best card ever.
Then I will go ahead and play shoulder grab, 18 plus 3, I gain anger. Remainder of combat, all of my physical attacks are considered to deal critical damage. So you're still at 100 thou.
Okay, we're waiting for Andrew to resolve a little bit of the searching that he had to do, and I apologize, I don't entirely know what the searching was for. Oh, it was at the end of combat to resolve his attach card. So he's got clinch on. Okay, so the magic is happening. You're watching Clinch Nappa unfold. Okay, he's going to pass Rejuvenate. Another clinch in his hand. Fantastic. Okay, goes back over to Seth. So now we're in the danger zone, as they say. Imagine if you were doing a Money in the Bank against Brock Lesnar. You got 2 choices. You could potentially pin him, potentially KO him or something, sure. Or you could run for the Money in the Bank, right? Run for the briefcase. That's kind of Seth's thing here. You don't want to generally trade with Nappa Lesnar. But he's not going to have too many options here. It's get in and trade and get those interactions going.
I'll go in. Pop relaxation.
Okay, he's going to go and use relaxation. I assume he's going to kill Turles.
Let's go.
Gain 2 stages.
Go.
Crit.
Gain 2 power stages, which he actually needed. Seldom have I ever seen where that's the case. He's going to grab Red Driving Knee. I believe that's the card. There's 2. There's a block and a physical attack that have nearly the same artwork, and I apologize. I have a tendency to mix them up. For red ones, it's like, what, red? Is it red time? I forget.
4, 2 life.
I would do play energy blast.
1,
Etc.
2.
For
Then
4 life.
4.
1.
Then from this and hit, I'll gain 2 anger. And I lowered yours one.
Oh wow, he destroys that drill, which is really neat.
Nappa for 6.
Nice. Banishes the drill with Red Blast. I think it's what that's called. Love that card.
Is there any hit effects?
Gain anger. And stop my time.
2, 3, 4, 5,
That's what we got going on here. He's going to go ahead and soak up that damage. Like I said, guys, you got to rope-a-dope a little bit with Nappa. You have to start thinking of your stages as a kind of block.
Let's see.
Right.
Check those out.
Devastating blow.
Oh, wait a minute. I know this.
Let's see what we got going on here. So level 2 with 2 anger.
You seen that movie?
Oh,
Yeah.
Pulverize.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead and use Pulverize. Now, let me tell you, the strangest thing about the Pulverize is it's real easy to forget the trigger on that one. I'll put it out there that I have fully swung games away from myself, out of my favor for forgetting it was there.
We're AT and 3. I'm at 12,000. So I'm at C.
I hit.
So 2 from there.
Yep. Lose
5.
7.
Yep.
1, 2.
Okay, he's going to go and banish that one. Sweet, some neat stuff fell out. They're mild targets. Nappa doesn't recover much from the discard pile until he starts getting out like Saiyan Rescue. Okay, so the Pulverize does hit Nappa. He doesn't have much of an AT advantage on Trunks, but it's going to be a little bit of stages fall out of Nappa, which is, again, I'm not used to Nappa taking damage.
Physical for
Yeah,
6.
is that another Saiyan clinch? Yeah, it's a second Saiyan clinch, but another meme art. You guys know the Arthur Fist. It's one of our favorite things in the whole world.
Red stack.
I'll block it.
attack for. Actually, what one of the game is not having. Is having Yeah, I had 2 at the beginning, and I never found any more. Is there anything in Pioneer that just blows up more?
I'll use Red Explosion.
Okay, he's going to fire off a Red Explosion. Seth carefully separating out his stages for that. If you guys think about it, that was when he had to very carefully maintain some stages to be able to throw that one. He's going to raise his anger when the hit, and I believe that's one that makes him skip on the hit.
Popping red double strike again.
Man, if I was Seth, I think I would mastery at this point, but I feel like it would be a little lucky to keep hitting that. And he does, and it is red. It does banish, and it goes back. It goes back to Seth because it forces Andrew to skip, and then he does a driving knee, which happens exactly the way you'd think it would.
2 levels between
I'm at A.
I'm in E.
what's your power level?
E to A. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6.
Pop my setup then.
2.
Okay, he throws his physical on his level 3, which actually does a significant amount of damage, and you guys are seeing it correctly. You got a Saiyan-style deck that is not running into consistent endurance. I know some of you guys are like, "Oh, that happens all the time." Not to me. I've never been trying to damage out a Saiyan deck and not have that happen. And he crits his anger just a smidge, and then it's going to go ahead and... I want to say Andrew should have at least a couple of actions. I think he's holding a villainous energy sphere, excuse me. Aha, unleashed. That would be a tide turner, especially at this point. He can more or less choose where he's going.
That's about all I can do with that because it's stop by time.
Yep.
Stop by 10.
Okay, he's going to go ahead and attach. I can't see it. The glare is too strong. But it is an attached card. It appears to be non-styled.
Alright, so I'm going to use Goku's pile, search my life deck, discard pile, or back.
And he's officially level 3, which is a pretty sweet position to be in. As I recall, he's got a significant physical on him that could be 14 power stages. That's probably why Andrew went to this one instead of 4. You guys notice, just looking at those levels on them decks, about who has less life cards left, and you'd never guess that at this point? Now, I know it's going to be your naysayers out there like, of course Ferrari trucks took off. Yeah, but you don't get it. They've been in combat for a long time. Okay, he's going to use Saiyan reinforcements.
The parenthetical is if you're at 500,000 or less, you may banish this card from your hand as an action, so he's not doing that.
Okay, so nothing to do with that.
Nah. His physical attack was massive. Massive damage.
Well, not that fast.
Okay, so he's going to do reinforcements. He's going to go ahead and grab his ally, and I am having dickens of a time making people out. You know what? From now on, you guys have a little bit of a promise. I'm going to lay out some cards and see how bad the glare is and reposition the camera. To stop being so haphazard. So reinforcements is going to be probably a flat stage physical, which, if I remember correctly, it's for 5 stages. So yeah, it's 10, 12. Oh, man, that's some decent sized damage. Whew, nothing like getting knocked to 0 one shot.
He's gone.
He brought Vegeta out, which was Sonic. That's who that was on our meme card. So remember that level 3 Nappa targets and destroys an ally immediately with his hit. So it's kind of like, eh.
It's worth it though. On Nappa.
What is it?
22 stages.
It's a physical?
No! 22 stages of utter nonsense. And Seth did it! Seth remembered the blocking hand when he needed it most, when he would have been shot in half otherwise. Okay, he throws Trunks physicals. I was wrong before. He had not yet thrown Trunks' physical. My apologies. And it's going to go ahead and hit. And I don't think it's going to do a whole heck of a bunch. I think it's like 6, 9 power stages, something a little mild like that.
Resolve pulverize?
Yep,
There's another custom.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. Tree might have Snoop Dogg on it. That's what he's going on there. Okay, so he's going to go ahead and resolve pulverize. He remembered the trigger when I didn't. I literally would have finished this without thinking about it. And then he does have his, of course, passive anger game at the end of the combat. Still fantastically effective.
But that actually really helped because there was a time where if I would have known that, I would have had an extra day with that mess. So I played all 8 rounds with no food because I was playing. So
Yeah, you can sweat.
yeah,
Don't play control.
yeah, no, seriously, I learned my lesson. I really did.
You want to play a control like that that's faster.
Don't play so hard. I put a Dream Trawler main door and 2 Brazen Borrowers just to try to win. So that was part of the idea. Didn't do no. I want to build a it's fun to play against. Like it's a fun combo.
Okay, and that's a good question. If I had to put a physical combat card, I'm trying to remember. Is I'm sorry, guys. I was never a pulverized guy. Not that I don't use it, because I have a couple of decks that use it. I'm sorry, I just haven't touched it in a long time. And for life of me, I cannot remember what goes to the top. It must be physical attack card. He's going to get red right cross, which is a fantastic great card to put in for the purposes for anger gain. Potentially exploding off this level 1 shot, which would be wild. I'd really love him to be able to do that.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so that's going to power up. Now, you guys think about it. Seth could potentially enter combat, Ascension, hit level 4 before potentially Andrew even has had a move yet. Yeah, potentially. Though I wouldn't blame Seth for being a little more careful about it, because he's quite aware this could swing the other way, and he just gets his poop tossed for some time. To not be terribly PC, he gets thrown around like a retarded kid. Alright, so it's going to go over to Andrew, and then Andrew's going to use his retard strength. Yes, I have several of these. He's going to go ahead and power up, declare combat, because like I said, Nappa loves to be in combat and wants to start swinging haymakers at everybody's faces. Okay, and that's going to... No! You can throw a massive Saiyan physical out of that. Did he say 18 power stages? See, guys, I told you this is where this story tends to end up. 14. It's still going to crit him. Oh, darn it. It had a hit, lowers anger, and a crit. Blah. So Seth's going to lose his anger. He's going to go down to 1. And then it's Seth's, and it's this is tough. Trunks knee band.
Clinch?
I've got 2 clenches, so that's not going to matter. You could banish 1 if you want to keep getting rid of them, or you could get rid of Tree right away.
Oh, yeah.
No! We figured out that had he targeted the clinch, he would have completely derailed the Nappa train. There was no reason to target Triomite. Nothing. So, with Trunks bash, knee bash? Yeah, and then it raises his anger 1 level, and it goes over to... okay, so he took it with his ally, took it with Vegeta. Okay, he's going to throw Saiyan knee strike?
For 14 stages.
14 power stages, folks. You just saw it.
5.
All the bullcrud in the world just piled up on each other.
Oh,
That's why you wanted to kill the clinches. Because the deck is average to efficient for damage without.
Son of a bitch. 4, 3,
So Seth is going to go ahead and take that to his face. Please nobody comment on the fact that he had Visiting the Past in his deck. It was there because his deck has not been touched since pre-errata. So if that all seems a little dated to you, it probably should. So he's going to go ahead and take the hit and the crit. And yeah, life's pretty rough on this side of the world. The life decks got evened up real fast, which I know everybody's going to say, of course, it's Nappa. Okay, he's going to knee bash, and you guys see what I meant? You guys see what I meant? He had two bashes. He could have knocked off both clinches, and this fight would essentially have been an even affair. No more doubling stages, so all of a sudden everything's quite average. Okay, that's a... ouch. Okay, and Andrew took the damage from that one, and then of course Seth got to raise his anger from the knee bash. Okay, it's going to go back over to Andrew and another attack. But this one actually consults the attack table, which in this case is still going to be kind of a crummy thing too. He's going to get a little bit of boost off of Vegeta because we boosted up anyway, but thankfully no giant, monstrous doubling nonsense.
How were you able to draw 5?
It says it right there. 5.
So, unfortunately, this consults the AT table, which are above me.
I have one. I only have one in my hand.
4 or 5 stages.
I don't think he's above you.
No, I'm at 0.
Oh, I thought he was at 1.
Okay, so 0 to 0.
So we're both at 0, so 6 stages.
So at 6 power stages. You guys see what I was talking about? You see how I was telling you, without them clinches, suddenly the match just goes stark even. And I don't know why Seth did not banish that card for nerfs. Oh, he did. He absorbed it that way. It just wasn't big.
How many stages?
Okay, back over to Seth. I don't know what he's got in him. He is going to mastery. A card he shouldn't have in his deck. I took that one hard for everybody. He gets to raise his anger 1 level. Visiting the Past showing up when it shouldn't have. It probably would have been something like a Red Ascension with proper errata being observed. So that does kind of stink. It hurts a little bit. A lot of bit.
11, 12.
Okay, and then of course Andrew's going to strike back with a monster Haymaker Death Blow. That's really going to do some major damage to poor Seth, who's already at 0. And like I said, these could have been the tiniest little baby love taps had we got to target the clinches. And then Vegeta gets banished, which is fine. Ain't going to hurt nobody. Okay, and that goes over to Seth. Seth's got to sort out his endured pile here because he did end up taking some monster hits. He's got plenty to put away.
I'm at 2 right now.
Okay, he's going to throw a driving knee. He's going to raise his anger 1 level. And my guess do a very, very moderate amount of damage to Nappa. And do very little as far as a lot of significant damage to him. Okay, he's going to go ahead and crit him, or at least lower his anger on the hit from the critical damage effect I'm talking about. Oh, excuse me. Okay, he's going to go through another Unleashed, and if I remember correctly, level 4 Nappa does have a physical attack, and that is lame sauce. Because that means he's got potentially a Death Blow swinging from his level 4. No, he goes to his level 2, because he's going to pull out a little bit of extra damage, I'm guessing. Oh, yeah, because look, he's got Saiyan Backflip, I think it is. It makes his AT 4, so he doesn't got to worry about it. So instead of being, very little to very little, it's going to be 4 as if he were in D. Okay, he throws Trunks Power, which is actually a really neat idea if he didn't have Saiyan Backflip attached. So he does is doing a little bit of life card damage. Nappa feels it, not like, not what we're used to this particular deck being about physical damage with Red Ascension Trunks. Okay, then he's going to go ahead and take the damage for that attack from level 3. It's going to go ahead and do a little bit of damage. Everybody passes. Seth should be gaining his passive anger gain on this one. And I'm not sure what's actually left in poor Seth's deck. And he's going to draw him in. This is going to be the stinkiest stink that ever stank. Okay, so Seth has hard choices to make. That deck looks awfully terribly thin. And in his hand, I think he's got maybe a couple of anger swings on it. And I think he's got a useless energy block in the middle.
That's not nice.
He really got it in him. Oh, 1 life card, son of a buck. Okay, he's going to, throw a right cross for a level, which is fantastic. It gets him some power stages. It is literally the only move that he had to make. And the catch is, easily, Andrew could turn around and knock him to 0 in 1 punch, depending on what that base damage is. And that is unfortunate. The damage does hit Nappa, who didn't have any power stages to defend it, and dang near kills him anyway. If you look at it, that's 3 life cards, gentlemen. 3 life cards total left in the deck. 2 life cards left in the deck. 1, he is at 1 life card. We have a 1-to-1 going on here. Crit him, obviously. Look at the closeness, folks. And there is the hit we needed. Remember we were talking about it? If you were to double the damage on this one, it would make it 12 power stages. And if you guys think about it, you'll never guess how many power stages that an MP has.
5, 6, 7, 14 stages.
Oy vey.
Kill me. Just kill me. Just. Because
14 power stages, folks. No one could have taken the hit. Whoa, red blocking head. He gets no power stages, but he raises anger 2 levels. Okay, sadly Seth cannot rely on his life deck, because his life deck would kill him if he decided to launch the red Ascension Mastery. He's going to double strike at him, raising his anger to 3. And if you guys think about it for a sec, with the Mastery, had he had even one little baby card, oh look, he just couldn't damage him enough to get those last 2 life cards, because it's a simple AT physical. Had it been anything else, even with an AT +2, he would have just killed him. And that should be the end of that. Reinforcements he's going to go ahead and search for. Whiffs it, because where the heck would targets come from this late in the game with 2 life cards in the deck. And if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be, like what, a gazillion power stages? 14 again? 12 stages, guys. 12 stages. 10 power stages comes off of charge.
Instead of World Tournament now, like they used to have, they have Tournament of Power for fans.
This was a bunch of bull hunk. This could have went easily a different way. It could have went from different card choice, different draw choice, and I know that's the nature of the game. It is a little randomized, and that's the point, right? It shouldn't always play out exactly the same. I just feel bad. Seth's first outing after a long time was a super duper crazy, on the nose close match, but Nappa wins.